Have you ever felt like you were making progress with a new change in your life, or maybe a goal that you set for yourself, and then all of a sudden you find that you have slipped somehow back into old patterns and old habits? If so, you are not alone. This regression and this return to the old way of doing things is a part of the growth and change process. And I want to share with you some mindset shifts and also just some practical tools and tips to help you support yourself as you continue to seek and embrace change. We always begin with gratitude, so I want to first thank you for being here and let you know that I am so very honored to have your energy and your presence here in this space. Peace. I am LA licensed therapist, holistic wellness coach, and guide, and the creator of this channel, Reconnect with You. And I want to start just by talking about why resistance and regression are actually signs of growth and signs that you are on the right path and that you should keep going. I want to start just by naming that change is not linear. Your healing and growth process are not going to be linear. So what that means is that resistance may present itself at different points as you are continuing to change and grow and evolve. I also want to talk a little bit about how this slipping back into old patterns and old habits is actually your brain and your body's way of processing the change and also just supporting you through that. It is a part of your rewiring and your becoming, your new becoming. And in therapy, there's a model or a theory called, it is actually, I was just looking at this as I was preparing for the video and it's slipping my mind, trans-theoretical model. There are 6 stages of change, and the last stage of change is known as relapse, and that is the part of the process where you have regressed, you slip back into the old patterns or the old ways of being. And this is the part of your change process where you have an opportunity to explore what the triggers were or kind of what led you to the relapse. And I'm going to talk in a second about some more mindset shifts that you can use for your own relapse. But this model is commonly used for substance abuse disorders and also just to support clients who are in therapy and kind of seeking change around some other unhealthy habits that they may have. So that's one piece of information and kind of education, or rather psychoeducation as we call it in therapy, that I wanted to share with y'all. Another part to keep in mind, I mentioned just changes in the brain that could be taking place that are contributing to how you are navigating this change or this growth that you're seeking for yourself. And that is the reticular activating system. And I talk about this a lot actually when I facilitate sound journeys, because the reticular activating system is also the part of the brain that processes sound. But this particular part of the brain does come into play when you have a major life change, or there's some type of change that you're making, or even around your decision making. And the reticular activating system is connected to confirmation bias. And that is where the system is kind of scanning for your old patterns or old habits or ways of being, or simply put, what have you been doing before? What has worked for you? What has already been planted and implemented for you on a subconscious level. So the reticular activating system does come into play when you have made a change, because it's going to be looking at what have you been doing, what's been working, and that could contribute to that regression. So I wanted to just share that with you, a little bit of education and pulling that in. I also want to talk about the prefrontal cortex, and I'm really not trying to make this be technical, but I do want to pull in a bit of the education so that you can know like what is happening, what is my brain doing as I am making changes and trying to grow beyond maybe a certain point in my life. The prefrontal cortex, you may have heard before, in most folks, the prefrontal lobe cortex is not developed until about ages 27 or 25 to 27. And that's just an average, so that doesn't mean that's going to be the case for everyone, but that's just what the research has shown about when that part of the brain is fully developed. This part of the brain is associated with decision making, so that also comes, your prefrontal cortex also comes into play as you are making decisions around changes. So I wanted to offer that before I get into sharing my story and sharing this short story, I should say, about something profound that I won't say learned, but that I am reconnecting with as it relates to change. And this is about, it involves my keys. It's something so simple, and which is why I wanted to share, because I feel like it's really relatable. And I am neurodivergent. I don't know if I've shared this with y'all before, but I am neurodivergent. And so one of the ways that that's shown up for me is misplacing things sometimes. And that one of the things that I've misplaced pretty commonly is my keys. And what I decided to do to support myself in that is to buy a bowl, and I want to show it to you because it's really cute and it's one of my favorite things in my house. And it's in the shape of an elephant because I love elephants. I have a lot of elephants and I collect elephants. But anyway, this is my key bowl. So I purchased this because I wanted to have a specific spot to place my keys when I come in the house, so that I would know that my keys are always there, so that when I'm coming in or I'm arriving home, I place my keys in there. When I'm leaving, I know to grab them from there. I had this bowl sitting on my kitchen counter for a long time until I decided that I needed some more space in my kitchen. I wanted to clear the counter space. And also I had a console table at my doorway or near my front door where I could move the bowl to. So I moved the bowl near, closer to the front door. And for a while, I want to say several weeks and even months, I would come home and I would place my keys in the bowl at my front door to the new location that I moved my bowl from in the kitchen. And one day I came in the house, I had my keys in my hand, and I walked right past my key bowl that was at the door into the kitchen. And I had my keys kind of like I was ready to place my keys in the bowl that I just knew was in the kitchen. And I realized, or I should say I remembered, you moved the bowl from in the kitchen to closer to the door. And I thought about all of the reasons why I had done that. And I was really sitting with why, how did this happen? Why did I forget this time? After all this time of this habitual action of me coming into the house and placing my keys in this new location, why did I go back to the old place? And it really reminded me of that resistance in the change process that can come up, and how unpredictable that is. You never really know when it's going to show itself. You don't know what form it's going to be in or what it's going to look like. And I really use that as an opportunity to reflect with myself. And luckily I was able to, and I'm going to get to some mindset shifts here in a second, but luckily I was able to use that as an opportunity to be kind to myself. And I kind of laughed about it. It was a little funny to me. I did want to understand though, how did this happen? Why did this happen? But I didn't spend a bunch of time there because I knew, I normalized it. I knew and know that relapse is a part of the change process. It is a part of transformation. When you set a new goal for yourself or decide that you want to release an old habit and put a new one in its place, relapse may come up at different points in the process. And so I've normalized that for myself. But I wanted to share this story with you because it's a short one. It's also simple. It's very relatable. And it's a simple way of reminding us all about change and how complex it can be sometimes. Change is not something that you do once, or, it's not like you set this goal for yourself and from here on out, you're just doing the thing. And so I wanted to share that story with y'all. I want to move now into just some mindset shifts that can help you to be with that resistance and embrace resistance as a part of the change process, and to not get discouraged if or when resistance shows itself as you are trying to grow and trying to change within your own life. The first thing I just want to reiterate, and I talk about this a lot with y'all because it really is a core part of my relationship with myself. It is also something that I try to center when I am working with my clients and holding space for folks, and that is self-compassion. When that resistance shows itself, use that as an opportunity to be kind to yourself, to celebrate yourself for wanting to make the change in the first place, but also for taking a very concrete and tangible step to do that. So this is an opportunity for celebration and for self-compassion. The other thing, the second mindset shift that I want to highlight here is that when that resistance shows itself, it is a reminder to you that you are human, or rather that you are having a human experience, and that resistance may be a part of that. So it's a reminder to yourself just of your humanity. And if you are sharing that resistance and the ways that it's showing itself with your loved ones, with other people that you're connected to, this is also a way for you to connect with other folks in humanity, in being human. The other part of the third and last mindset shift that I want to offer you, and I'm offering 3 because I love that. I love the number 3. Is one of my favorite numbers. But I want to offer you as well that it is a reminder to slow down. It is a way to notice what's coming up for you in your change and your growth process and journey, and to reflect on how far you've come and where you are in that process. It is a reminder to slow down. Again, it is unrealistic, and I say unrealistic instead of impossible, because I don't like to tell folks what's possible or not possible for them. It is a reminder to slow down and to remember that you set a goal, and you may have to pause to reflect on how far you've come in order to see what needs to happen moving forward, or maybe to just rest, to pause to rest, and not to want to forge forward or to speed up the process or want to be somewhere else in your journey. So it really is this beautiful way of accepting where you are in your journey and being okay with that, not feeling any shame with yourself about where you are, about the fact that this resistance has come up. But it's really an opportunity for you to notice, for you to try to understand, but also to normalize that resistance. So those are the 3 mindset shifts that I want to offer to you. I want to invite you to share or to comment how is resistance showing itself for you these days. If there is a new change or a habit that you have implemented or are in the process of implementing in your life, or maybe even that you've experienced some slipping back into old ways of being, how is that resistance showing itself for you? I also want to encourage you to take a look at, to check out the full story where I go into more detail on my blog, which I'll leave that in the comments. It was just, the blog post was just posted yesterday. So I want to give you an opportunity to read the full story there, where I talk more about resistance and regression just as a part of the change process. The prompt that I want to offer to y'all for today's video, in addition to just the invitation to share how resistance is showing itself, I want you to share and reflect on with yourself, what is your relationship to resistance? What does that relationship look like? Is it harmonious? Is it complicated? Is it confusing? I want you to share more about what is your general relationship with resistance, not any resistance in particular. Well, that is what I have for y'all today. I look forward to connecting with y'all again soon. But in the meantime, reconnect with you. Peace, y'all.